Jeff here, and we're going to take a bike ride around Ottawa today. So if you have a look at the map here, we're going to start over there on the Rideau River pathway, pedal across west, eventually move north into Carleton University, see what we can find around there, maybe check out the locks, experimental farm, Dominion Observatory. We'll see what we find along the way. Hopefully you enjoy the ride. One of the many beautiful paths in the Ottawa area. Dual use people and bicycles. The Rideau River is hidden in behind these trees. To my right is Billings Bridge. Which crosses over the Rideau River. This is Bank Street. And as I was saying, this is going to look a lot different in a couple of years. Seemed peaceful for a second. Woo! That's gravel. That was close. Oh yeah. Got some canoers down there today. Whole lot of geese. Yeah, nice day down here. Some Canadian geese getting fed up before the long flight south. So this is the Rideau River. Goes right through the heart of Ottawa, and over there in the distance is Carleton University, where we're going to in a few minutes, and this bridge in the foreground. We're going to be under that bridge on that side, and the farther bridge down you can maybe see there, we're going to cross that one over. Okay, you may see off in the distance, I don't know how well it'll show in here, but at the end you will see some graffiti on the walls. We'll be there shortly. Yeah, so this is the part of the trail we get away from the road. This is a biker's paradise as far as cities go. Maybe not as great as the Dutch cities I've spent time in, but we do what we can. Still a lot of attachment to automobiles. But you know, these are cities that were built and grew in the middle 1900s, when everybody, well, almost anybody, had a car, whereas some of the older European cities were built at a time when rapid transportation wasn't as available and things were more densely built up. Anyway, here's that bridge I was talking about. I'm going to reduce my speed, try not to kill anyone. Oh, nice colors. And here we are, Carleton University. Again, that's the Rideau River. Huh. I don't know if you can see it out there, but somebody's perched a picnic table out on a rock in the middle of the river. Not a bad picnic spot. Water's pretty low. The old railway bridge there. There's Ottawa's public transit O-train. It seems to be working today. It is not always the case. Behind us is Carleton University, which is one of Canada's newer universities. Founded about 1942, if I'm remembering correctly. got full university status in 1957 and originally created, there's the O train again, originally created for mainly World War II veterans, but anybody else, new appreciation for higher learning I think at that time. Originally they didn't even have their own campus, they were just using vacant classrooms and downtown government buildings that weren't being used, but eventually they got this piece of real estate, which is probably one of the best in Ottawa. We're at the point where the Rideau Canal and the Rideau River meet. Great spot to be a student. Yeah, we'll take a little roll around the campus and see what we can find. We are right here right now, and we cross this bridge. We're going to cut over here, see some playing fields. Maybe there will be a Kidditch game on again. The sports complex. I think we might see some soccer today. Then we're going to cut back across here and cross over the Rideau Canal. It'll make sense when we get there, but it's quite a large campus, and like I was saying, great real estate. Rideau River meets the Rideau Canal. Yeah, they hit the jackpot on that one. As I recall, that's one of the primary administrative buildings. Don't ask me, it's been a while. Great place to have a picnic. In here, kind of an interesting thing. I don't think I'm going to go today, but this is a home of many butterflies. So the butterfly show might even be this weekend. I don't know if we can see any in there, but exotic butterflies from all over the world. All right. Yeah. Ooh, we'll see how the image stabilization works on this. Hey squirrel, how's it going? Here's a tree dedicated to Irwin Gillespie, a gentle scholar. Huh. I'd have to look him up. Here. Hello. It's all right. No worries. Have a good day. Yeah, so here we are. These are the secret playing fields. Well, not only they store debris here, but there's beach volleyball back here. Animals in the woods. Yes, in the site of some of my softball glory days, if such a thing exists in my world. But yeah, I used to play some good softball here, and last time I was here there was a Kidditch game happening here. Unfortunately they're not here today. I was trying to figure out the rules. We'll see what we can do about finding some footage on that. Oh. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've all seen a baseball field before. Maybe you haven't. Yeah. One day I got lucky and put one over those trees. That was a while ago. Those trees have probably grown quite a bit since then. Still makes for a good story. Like I said, glory days. Intramural softball. So now we're going to move on from the playing fields. There's a little appetizer for what's about to come to a pretty cool part of Ottawa, I think, is the, well, under the Dunbar Bridge, which I was pointing out earlier, was this graffiti display. So this is one of the legal graffiti sites in Ottawa. So as you can see, it's been well decorated. And every time I'm here, there's different work, which is normal. I often wonder though, how that works, because the amount of time the artist would spend on this only to see it painted over. I don't completely understand the culture, but people keep doing it, so I guess they enjoy it. And as you may recall, I was on the other side of the water here, pointing at this place from across there, where you can maybe see the cars in the distance. So it'd be very interesting, though, if anybody who's watching this video is involved with graffiti art or understands this culture, because I can only imagine how difficult it was to get up there and do all this work, and the next time I come back here, somebody will have painted over it. I guess the next great task is to try and get the graffiti out there. That's what I'd be aiming for. Actually, it looks like somebody's painted over that, so maybe that's not part of the legal area. But here we are, the Rideau River. There's the bridge I was pointing out in the distance. The university beyond there, we were just there. And one more thing of note from this area is, this is where the annual House of Paint Festival takes place. And I just became aware of it, but it's a free outdoor hip-hop jam that showcases graffiti, breakdancing DJs and MCs from across Canada. So it sounds great. I wasn't aware of it. Maybe I need to get onto their mail list. Maybe I don't fall into the demographic you would expect, but it sounds like something I'd like to attend. And some more beautiful red fall colors. It's one of the treats about the autumn season here. Now, and there's a bike. Maybe we'll take that one with us. Oh, looks like I have a friend. Hey, dog. This is the site of a volunteer community garden. Like, it's all community garden, closed to the public. Well, we're gonna break the rules today and walk down here and see what they're growing. So let's see here. I don't know. Maybe some of our botanists out there. There's some tomatoes. I don't know. It's getting pretty late. It's been some pretty cold nights. That might be done. Oh, yes. These dahlias? I don't know. Maybe somebody knows. I was here a couple of months ago. This was much more vibrant. Like I said, it's October. And there's the kale, which will grow until it freezes. Amazing stuff. Seems to be a bit of a trend on the kale here in Canada these days. Lots of tomatoes. I wouldn't dare take any though. I'm not even supposed to be here. Okay, so this is the Carleton University rink. Where they play hockey, the hockey rink. That means something to some people, maybe not others. As you know, Canadians kind of like hockey. Yeah, so maybe we'll go in here and see what's going on. And we got some sort of a hockey practice. Backwards skating. Yeah. See, when I was a kid, I could skate backwards. So they put me on defense. I didn't really want to be on defense. So if you're a young kid who wants to play forward, don't let them know you can skate backwards. It looks like this practice is coming to an end. And I don't know if you can see in the distance, there's the scoreboard, a Canadian flag there hanging from the ceiling, and beside that, the flag of the United States of America. A little token of respect to our neighbors of the south. Anyway, let's go see what else we can find around here. The Norm Fenn Gymnasium. There's another hockey game going on. Some wheelchair hockey. Oh, looks like fun. Well, let's go explore the rest of the campus. More construction. A lot of new trees. Those guys are in my lane. Should I yell at them? One of the O train stops. These are pretty new and shiny. Yeah, so this is Prescott House, student residence. Oh, those look like students. Nicely paved road. Skateboarders. You like it here. Goose keeping watch. Yeah. And so to my right, behind those trees, is the Rideau Canal. You may remember on that map I was pointing to the point where we're going to cross. We're getting there, but see ahead of me, the Dunton Tower. It's a bit of a story here. We have the Dunton Tower, which used to be a student residence, but now it's classrooms, administrative buildings. Haven't been in there in a long time, so I can't really remember, but yeah, it's another building. But I'll tell you a little story. When I was a student here, one afternoon I was at my class near the top floor there, and I missed an elevator. One of those moments where it's slammed in your face and you're kind of cursing that person inside. And I think 2 of the 4 elevators were working. I had a long wait. So I took the time to read a bulletin board. And on that bulletin board, I saw there was an exchange program. And the information session was in 40 minutes. And it was about 3 floors down. And I had never heard of this thing before. But because I missed that elevator, I saw that flyer for that information session, which I waited around those 40 minutes for. I decided to go on that exchange to Rotterdam, Erasmus University, where I met my wife, and she's living here in Ottawa with me now, 20 years later, or something like that. And every time we see this tower, we have that story between us, how important this tower was in our relationship. Sappy, I know, but there you have it. All right, so as promised, here we are at the Rideau Canal. There's the lock keeper's house, or one of the houses that serve the locks. Gotta be careful. Sometimes the bikers come along here and they'll mow you right down. Walk right over these things. That is where they open, right there in the middle. Yeah, so this is where the boats go. You drop the water down to the next level. I'll take you down. Unfortunately, we just missed the boat in action. So I'm here at the Hartwell Locks, which is part of the canal system. Right beside me. You may recognize that building from another video. There's the locks over there. We'll go there in a minute. And anybody who's taken a film class will probably have a lot to say about my lighting choice. hopefully this works out all right. But anyway, we're at the Rideau Canal, which was built in the early 1800s, I think in the 20s and 30s, as a system built for military defense to ensure a secure supply of goods from Kingston to Montreal. So this would be a secondary route, because this links to the Ottawa River from Lake Ontario. Kingston is also joined by the St. Lawrence system into the Great Lakes. Anyway, so this is lock 9 and 10, if I'm not mistaken. The Hartwell locks are named after a pub that used to be around here, probably 115 years old, called, well, a tavern, Hartwell's Tavern. And great thing about these is they're still hand operated, much like they were 200 years ago. And I'll take you by to see those cranks. This is the last weekend of the year where boats are using this system. A lot of leisure travel goes up and down here. You can go from Toronto, you can go from Chicago up this canal to Ottawa River to Montreal if you were so inclined. It'd be quite a ride. Anyway, I'll take you down and I'll have a look at the locks. And here we have the lockmaster's house. So the master of the lock would have been able to live here. It's nicely decorated. Oh, still has cedar plank shingles. Nicely decorated for the season. It is Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving tomorrow. This almost looks like somebody lives here now.
Not much.
It's alright.
Yeah, that's why
Tourist center, I don't know what you can buy here. Yeah, so like I was saying, they still use the manual cranks here. And busier times of the year, there's going to be some guys here cranking these as the boats go steadily in and out of these locks all summer long. So there's not much traffic. It is Canadian Thanksgiving, but you can see the difference in height between that and that. And they raise the boats, they say 15 feet from the lower canal to the upper canal. I don't know, looks like a lot more from here, but what do I know? Yeah, too bad there's not some boats here we can watch in action. Terrified I'm going to drop this thing in. Ah yes, for when the lockkeeper misbehaves, drunken boaters get punished. Well, too bad about this. I think this canal has had no barriers for 200 years. I've never seen this before. I guess somebody fell in and it became a liability issue. I hope they do, if they insist on building a fence here. God, it's got to get better than that. Anyway, cranky old man, Parks Canada. Of course, in both of Canada's official languages. We have a biker log jam. It is a beautiful day for a ride. I think you were... Oh, yeah, you're up.
I'm a slow one here.
No worries. Is that one of those electric hybrid bikes?
Yeah.
You enjoy it?
About 65 pounds.
It's great when you're riding it, not when you're lifting it.
That's true.
I'm leaving the Rideau Canal behind, and now I will be moving towards the experimental farm. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So yes, I will be going to the experimental farm straight ahead, but I'm going to take a little detour here. This has become kind of a park of sorts. Keep a lot of the native species around. Wander around here, there's some art installations. Yeah, it's not a bad spot. It's also a bit of a maze. Oh, I'm interrupting a picnic. Times like this, I wish I had a proper mountain bike. Let's see how the image stabilization works on this thing. Woo! How about that? So here we are. Very unique type of park. Like I said, this is all wildflower. Some tall goldenrod there. Beautiful red colors for the fall. And, what do we have here? Red Stiletto's Garden by Gail Hermick. Nice work, Gail. You can see this native grass is actually starting to appear in more and more gardens and people's homes. The movement towards native plants is on the rise, that's for sure. And a lot easier to take care of because they're native here, meaning they can survive some pretty serious winters, which will become a theme at our next stop. There's some milkweed. I think we'll have some happy monarch butterflies around. Yeah. Certainly pines around here. What kind of pine do we have? Oh, this might be white. Yeah. So you know white pine. That's how I remember anyway. There's 5 needles on every bud, and there's 5 letters in white. So that's how I remember. Thanksgiving memory. So here I go into the, let me get through that light, the experimental farm. What's so experimental about it, you might ask? Well, I'm going to stop this bike and I'm going to do my best to let you know. And this may seem like we're in the middle of nowhere out here. We're actually completely surrounded by the city on all sides. And I guess when they bought this in the 1890s, this would have been out in the middle of nowhere. They bought it from a guy named Milligan, an Irish immigrant. The first purchase was 188 acres. And let's talk a bit more about that in a second. So as I said, the government bought this in about 1890 as part of a national agricultural strategy of sorts. Part of it was we wanted to expand the country west to what are now the provinces of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia. The west was generally unsettled, but they wanted to settle it. And farmers, setting up farms was the way to do that. So they were giving away free land at that time, 160 acres of land for free, or a small administrative fee, if you could turn that into workable land in a given period of time. So this is not 160 acres. Oddly enough, my family had an experience with that in Manitoba, and the lot they drew was basically all forest, and there were 2 guys with handsaws. They couldn't clear it in 2 years, so they ended up working for the Canadian National Railway instead. That's a long story, but some people got good lots, some people got more challenging lots. But imagine 160 acres in 1890. But part of the challenge of settling that area was the climate, and there was not a lot of experience growing wheat. Where agriculture was the future for Canada, there was not a lot of experience growing wheat, so they had to experiment, and this is where they developed marquee wheat that is resistant to frost and matures in a much faster rate of time, so much more feasible for the prairie provinces. Over in the distance is Ash Lane, which in the 70s became nicknamed Hash Lane because the government was using the experimental farm to experiment on cannabis production. Big deal in the 70s. Now you can get cannabis at every corner. Please do not feed sheep and goats. Now they're not saying anything about those llama over there. Huh. This is the Agricultural Museum. They do keep livestock back in here. I've never actually been in the main building. It's all government. So all of these buildings around here are numbered. Get a little closer look at the museum here. We're not going in today. Agriculture Canada, Building 88. This is an interesting house, kind of in the middle of the experimental farm. I know these are offices here, and there's greenhouses back there, but this was once the home of the head agriculturalist. I suppose the head of the Department of Agriculture. Yeah, it's a pretty nice home. I don't know who lives here. I don't know what happens here now. I see it's got original storm windows. The paint's being kept up. Oh, it's nice to preserve something, Ottawa. So all of this land back here belongs to the Department of Agriculture. I think it's all considered part of the experimental farm. I'm not sure. Well, if they stuck you back here, you wouldn't have much else to do. There's not much around here to do. No, I wouldn't say there's a cafe for 3 kilometers. And what we have to my right is the foundations of a new hospital. I'm not too sure when that's supposed to be done. So here's Observatory Crescent and what was once the Dominion Observatory. So yes, they did have a 15-inch telescope up there. I'm not too sure what they do with it now. I think they open it once a year for what they call Open Doors Ottawa, where they open up a number of public buildings. Yeah. Like I said, this used to be an operational observatory with a 15-inch telescope, but it also was quite instrumental to a lot of the operations of the country, such as geodetic measurements, and precise timekeeping was managed from here. And it closed in 1970 though, because while the growing city, this was once the periphery of the city, like I was saying back over there, is now completely surrounded by urban development. There was too much light pollution, so they couldn't use the telescope anymore. So I believe the telescope's now in the Science Museum over on Saint Laurent Boulevard. Anyway, off to our next stop. We're gonna get out of this farm. Actually, I think we're going to end it there for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the ride, and see you next time.
Time's come once again. Colors changing, rearranging. Well, this reminds me